And it's the beginning of April, and it's putting down snow. So here I am yet again, donning my coveralls because it's cold. I'd love to keep working on Mighty Mouse, get this wet clutch pulled, but with this pandemic going around, the shipping's got everything on hold. Oh, I could use some divine intervention right about now. I guess I should be more careful on how I ask for things. But anyway, looks like this is what I've been waiting for to keep working on putting the wet clutch springs from EPI, the economy springs, in my wet clutch of Mighty Mouse to increase the stall to help with them big old 32s. So I guess now that these are here, we can just keep on trucking along with it. Alright, so this is the puller we've been waiting for. It's a 35mm puller, which will work with our Honda. I'm sure it'll work with lots of others as well. But as you can see here, it's threaded to screw, once I get it lined up right here on like that. I'll screw that fast. And then basically you just take this threaded bolt and it'll screw on here, and then what that'll do is push on the crank arm, and because this is threaded on here, it'll pull the whole wet clutch out. So we're just going to take and turn this in here. This is good old American made one, so this is actually a 3/4 inch bolt, not a metric bolt. There we go. Oh, she's coming right off. This is easy as that. Oh, ta-da! Now we just gotta head to the bench. Alright, so now that we got our wet clutch and our wet clutch drum actually out of the machine, they just simply pull apart. Just watch your one-way bearing that's in there. You don't want it to fall out. We'll clean all this stuff up before we reassemble. Make sure you didn't get any dirt in there. But here's our wet clutch. Now the next thing we got to do is to actually take these plates off so we can get out our springs, which are inside right there. So we got to pop all these little C-clips out, which you guys saw on my engine rebuild, a Raging Rhino. This is the exact same. In fact, something very interesting. Let me show you something here. So here's the wet clutch from Mighty Mouse. Here's the wet clutch from Raging Rhino. So we have a Pioneer 500, a Rhino 700, and these things are almost 100% identical. The only difference I can notice from looking at it is our inner splines here where our crankshaft goes through. The Yamaha is quite a bit bigger. But other than that, they match up 100%. Look at this. Here is the Rhino wet clutch. Here is the Pioneer 500's wet clutch drum. Guys, you could swap these if you wanted to. Which brings me to another interesting point and modification. I guess there is a little bit of difference here on the shafts. As you can see, the Honda, the Pioneer 500 has a larger shaft. I guess not larger, taller shaft than the Yamaha Rhinos does. And it actually looks like, well, everything else is the same. The wet clutch pads are the exact same as far as I can tell. But another interesting fact is, you know, a popular modification to these Yamaha Rhino clutches is actually a slug kit in here. You saw me install one on Raging Rhino. And I can't help but notice that the Pioneer 500, if everything is the exact same, these holes, just from looking, looks to be the exact same. Well, then there's no reason why a wet slug kit for the Yamaha 700 couldn't fit in the Pioneer 500. So, we may have to revisit this after we get these springs in and run it a little bit. We get our turbo installed. We may end up tearing back into this and throwing a Yamaha Rhino 700 wet slug kit into our Pioneer 500 to see what that does, because the wet slug adds a little weight in here, which gives your clutch pads a little better grip so they don't slip as much and they engage a little better. So that might be very beneficial. Again, we're going to have to revisit that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this apart, and we'll throw our new springs in. Alright, so just about the easiest way to get these clips out without sending them flying across the room is to use a vise. This middle plate that's behind this outer plate, these clips are up against, is actually like a spring plate. You'll see what I mean when I get that out. So if we just carefully take this in here and just squeeze it a little bit. I know you're not going to be able to see that where I have the camera, but it actually pushes that in to the point where we can get in here and just pop these little clips right out like nothing, because it takes all the tension off of them. Might be able to get this one right here as well. And this will save a tremendous amount of agony and soreness out of your fingers. Alright, so now we got all those little snap rings out. You take this outer plate off. Here's that little spring plate. Keep note, you see how this has the inner lip is actually up from the outer lip. That's where you get that spring action to keep your tension on there. So make sure when you put that back on, it's back up. And now this guy, be a little bit of a pain, but this will slip up off. And now we're in here to our springs. So basically all we got to do is unhook our springs, our old springs, hook our new springs back in as I bleed all over my machine, and we'll be good to go. Whoa! Alright, so here is our stock springs. Here's the EPI springs. To look at them, you can't really notice much difference, and I doubt you're going to be able to see any difference on camera. And these guys are too small to actually check stiffness or anything. If anything, the EPI looks a little smaller, which means it's a little more tightly wound. So that's probably where you get the additional 400 or 500 RPM stall. Again, these are their economy springs, and they'll go in the exact same way. We just took these guys out. Alright guys, as you can see, this is the hardest part, is getting, once these new springs are on because they're stiffer, getting these to line up and in. I think the best way is like I showed you guys there. I put all these together before trying to put them on the clutch plate itself. And then what we can do is just simply give her a little pry here so we can get these posts to where they'll clear and go in their little notches. Like that. Like that. And like that. And there we go. So there we have all our springs, new springs installed. We're back on our posts. And these little notches on the back side of our wet clut pads are sitting in these little grooves. So now it's just a matter of reinstalling everything. Our little plate, our spring washer, making sure the spring is up, and then finally our top plate, which makes sure these little studs here are pointed up. We'll take this back to our vise and then compress this again just like we did to uninstall the clips. We will reinstall our clips. And now it's simply a matter of reinstalling our wet clutch, line up our splines, push everything on, make sure we're in tight. And that is it. We'll reinstall the washer. I'm going to install a new nut, because again, that's a capture nut, so you're going to have to replace that if you do the same mod. And we'll tighten everything down. So that's pretty much it for installing the wet clutch springs. I'll have to go ahead and clean the gasket material up and put everything back together, and we'll go for a little test ride and see how these EPI economy springs help little Mighty Mouse here handle those big 32s. So thanks for watching. I'll make sure to leave a link in my description below of the springs I got for this guy. If you want to do this too, you guys can just click on the link and go right there to order some springs. And this is getting us one step closer to throwing that turbo on there. So thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on riding.